About to make a decision that scares the hell out of me, but I don't know if I'm being smart or if I'm just being a coward. This is a 1978 GMC motorhome, one of the rarest motorhomes ever made. It's a GMC Birchaven. I have to decide right now whether to restore it or whether I let it go for good. And here's what makes this hard. I've been right here before. I had one of these GMC motorhomes in the past and I let it go. And then I regretted it ever since until I bought this one. So now I'm standing here and I genuinely can't tell. Is the voice telling me to walk away, being smart with my money, or is it just fear talking me out of something I'd regret forever? I'm going to walk you through this whole thing, what's wrong with it, what it'll cost, why it terrifies me, and by the end, I need your help with the one decision I can't make alone.
Oh, the day I break these chains, I'm bound for the life of the simple thing.
So I'm sitting here in the exact spot my friend was yesterday when I had him come over and kind of brainstorm with me, right? He's somebody that's known me for over 30 years since we were children, just out of elementary school. In fact, he's the one that happened to come across the listing on Facebook of the very coach that I'm sitting in right now. And I asked him a question. I asked him, do you think that we can resurface it inside here? And looking right at me with a deadpan stare, he says to me, we could try, but you're not going to be happy with it. I know you. We could drop $20,000 into it and then you just wouldn't end up being happy with it. You have to go all the way. And to be honest, that was the moment where I became terrified, absolutely terrified. Because what did that mean? That means that I need to do an entire gut on this. And having been at a specialty GMC restoration place and been taken advantage of in the past, along with getting to see the work being done on them and what was involved and the cost associated with it, I knew what that meant was that just parts alone, not counting costs of labor, just parts alone, I'd be looking at $50,000 to $80,000. Now, when I bought this, that didn't really scare me, right? I knew it because I'd seen it in the past. But that was before I quit my job. And it's not that things like, say, the plumbing here scare me. It's that this layout really isn't going to work right now for me, what was here already. And electrical itself doesn't scare me. Like you were looking right now, we're looking at the converter box and the wiring. And this is the only place you can really get at it, right? And there's some plumbing here. This is the box where the generator is inside that you can gain access from outside of the coach. And so electrical doesn't really scare me, but if you look at this, I can't update the electrical here without tearing out the rest of this coach. What I was the most afraid of is I knew he was right. I knew to do a good job of this and to make it something that I could be happy with long term. That means all of this is going to have to get torn out and I'm going to have to start from scratch pretty much. There's really not a whole lot I can save, to be honest, when I start looking at it. I mean, here's my water tank in there. That thing's old as dirt. It's the original one. And I mean, it looks rough. I imagine it maybe still works. The gentleman that I bought it from stayed on top of things, it seemed like. Then there's the furnace in here, and these are known to be a fire hazard, especially if you mess with them at all, move them, do anything with them. They have burned down many a coaches. And here that takes me to what I started kind of tearing out. I showed you over here already. I got all that stuff just kind of stacked up here. And I tore out this, and what I found out is this is where the propane tank is. This is a pretty good sized propane tank, but I got to figure out how I'd patch it there. What I wanted to put here was a dual recliner sort of setup, one of the wall huggers. I really like those. But the one I was looking at is a pretty tight fit. I would have to totally rip that out and then seal it off somehow. Also, underneath the dinette that was here, I found the air ride system air pump, and I'd have to figure out what I'm going to do to build it in here or something like that. When I first bought this and brought it home, I even took it out on a trip, and this was running great. We got here, it's a little dark. She ran beautifully, 108 miles, not a single issue.
Except for the driver.
Yeah, the driver sucks, but...
Almost got us killed. Gotta work on those mirrors.
Robert saved us because he let me know that there was a car behind the curtain.
Yeah, I'm his blind spot indicator.
Whoa, wait!
Whoa, no. That's I think what I did.
And it has all the original vacuum hoses. They haven't tried to, hot rod it or soup it up or do a bunch of stuff to it that leads us to new problems or confusing problems that I honestly never learned anything about. So I've never really had a mentor. And I've kind of just always gone through things and stumbled my way through life and through projects and whatnot with no mentor. And it's left me issues. I've always been able to learn pretty much anything, but that's got me scared here. And it's an intimidation factor. I mean, I've always scored really well in mechanical aptitude when it's on paper, right? But there's something about like physically actually doing it. Just because I can bumble my way through it and mistake my way to eventual success doesn't mean that that's smart. Doesn't mean that I deserve an award, you know what I mean? And so that realization and understanding of myself and where I am now at almost 50, I decided to reach out to my friend. He was a friend I met when I was Nomad. He came to a meetup and I got to know him, and he's a really pretty good guy. He's an Oxford educated mechanical engineer, and he's worked on the team for the Formula One racing team for Honda and Jaguar, and he was even the director of research and development for Snap-on tools. Also, other things that kind of like make me a little nervous is I knew to check in here on the frame rails, and these frame rails are really good. And I know that the fuel lines have been replaced because the guy told me he had to replace them because they started leaking on him when he wasn't running it around, like the ethanol eats the hoses and everything. But I also got a oil leak here in the back, and it's not directly under the engine, so I think that might be the rear seal or something. I don't know what it is. I don't really know enough about them. And so what that did is it had me call my friend, the mechanical engineer, last night, and I talked to him, and he told me he knows how much I love these and how I talk about them, and he's like, don't give up on it. And the funny thing is, both my childhood friend and this friend, they're right. And the mechanical engineer friend told me that he knew I could do this. And he wasn't just trying to be like a good friend, a buddy, a pal. He's told me a few times that how I pick up on stuff is pretty quick, for somebody that's never had any exposure to it. The frame is really astonishingly good. The one place that I am concerned, though, is there's another place where frame rot gets really concerning, and it's in this area here that you can't really access. Even if I pull this off, I wouldn't be able to see it because of what's behind there. And that's the other big, like, no-go problem on them, and there was no way for me to know that. I don't have a lift to look underneath it. Even the worst rusty places, though, it's all just surface rust. Stuff I could coat and take care of. I got the rarest of all the GMC motorhomes. And it's in pretty good shape. I don't think I could replace this if I sold it. So now we're back over here. And as you can see in here, I hadn't really moved forward with this. I took it out camping twice. Lily here is gonna go rolling down the highway with me. Hey Lily, you ready to go? Lily and I are gonna go camping with my buddy Robert. Just gonna go camping for the night. Fired her up, she's been sitting there for a while. So I'm gonna cruise around the block a little bit. Warm her up and then get all the stuff in her before we head out. All right, it's time to roll out. You ready to go, Robert?
I think I am. I don't know, we'll see if this thing leaves us destitute or not.
First every trip with her, we're going 108 miles.
How about Lily? Lily looks happy.
Hey Lily, how's it going back there?
What's up, girl? You ready to go camping? Look at
I
this
think she's
guy.
ready to go camping.
New motorhome. New old.
I started tearing it out, as you can see here, there, and found that all the water stuff was there, that the electrical wasn't something I could really easily find without tearing everything out. I had this box. I didn't really know what to do about sealing that up. This, I have no idea whether this is just a false floor or whether that matters, that lip up here. When I feel intimidated by something, which I do, a lot of this stuff I don't know about it, and I feel intimidated about it, I kind of freeze up for a moment. And this time, the freeze up didn't really like disappear on its own. And I don't know why it didn't, because usually it does. Like I told you, I just kind of, if I don't know it, I bumble my way through it and I learn it. And I usually learn pretty fast. But this time, it hasn't been so easy to just push along forward. And I've been trying to diagnose that. So I told you at the beginning of this that I'd been here before, trying to make the decision on whether I'm going to move forward with this sort of project or whether I'm going to sell her. And so I know exactly how it feels. And here's a little clip to let you see how it made me feel back all those years ago. That's kind of a weird feeling. On to the next chapter. Kind of sweet and sad experience there. A lot of memories. No more Smitty. Smitty's gone. So I told you that that was bittersweet. And the sweet part was really minor. It was that I had decided to sell it and I was able to sell it and sell it pretty fast, right? The bitter part was the loss. And that lasted for years. And why? When my friend happened to find this one on Facebook, through happenstance why I had to go buy it and why it made me so happy. There's two real options here. I can go find a specialty shop, get a job again, and pay somebody else to do it. But the problem with that is I don't really learn what I need to learn to care for her right. And what I'm scared of is not knowing and not having done it really, right? So it wouldn't fix my being frozen really long term. And these top out at $50,000 to $80,000. That's what they usually sell at max. Once in a blue moon, if there's one that has a really special story, it might hit 100,000. But we're talking those coaches, a lot of people put 300,000 in them. They're really mini versions of Prevos. If I do this project, if I decide to ever sell it, it's not money I'm ever going to get back. I know that. I mean, I can only get a piece of it, right? All right, so that's door one. Door two is I do it myself. I overcome this fear and this being frozen that I don't know where it came from, that being this strong, and maybe it's wisdom, I don't know. Or door three, I sell it and I move on. And you guys saw how happy it made me when I got this girl. It'd be sucking to close the door on her for good. But I got to play this smart, you know? I can't only go by my heart. Is the fear really me being wise at my age? Or am I being that coward? In this period of time in my life, I'm at least being smart about the idea that I do need a mentor. Are there anybody out there, I mean, like carpenters, cabinet makers, mechanics, especially mechanics that have experience with these older rigs? I don't know, folks that have gone through the whole process and done a restoration similar to this on a vintage motorhome, that have this expertise and this knowledge, electricians, plumbers, these folks out there. Are my numbers right? Am I looking at $50,000 to $80,000 in parts to really do it right? How tough is it to do? Can I do it without a personal lift? I guess what I need is I need that mentorship. Not so much like I'm trying to have everybody else do the work for me, but I've never had that person to be like, this is how you're supposed to do it. Don't do that. These kinds of things. Because I can't really afford to keep bumbling my way through. It just doesn't make sense to do that. Get out there, connect with people, live your big story, and make sure you do something every single day to reduce world suck. Peace.